everyone. Welcome to another Sugoi cast review. I'm Mysti.
I'm Hunter.
Today we're going to be looking at Sakurasou no Pet na Kanojo, or The Pet Girl of Sakurasou in English.
It started airing in October 9th, 2012. It's and ended in March 26th, 2013. It is a adaptation from a light novel that got published in January 10th, 2010 to March 8th, 2014. So it ended about 2 years ago.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sakurasou, it's a romantic comedy that follows a few students of Suime High who all live in the same dorm called Sakurasou, Sakura Hall. And it's considered the dorm for more of the problem students of the school. Generally, when you hear a student goes there, everyone's reaction is that maybe they're a little off, or like maybe a delinquent of some kind, or something like that.
My biased opinion, I believe that they're more the gifted children.
Yes, yeah, basically. Yeah, and that's the thing, like, as it goes on, you actually learn that maybe they're not as much of a problematic kind of people as most seem to think, and they actually have each of their own like ambitions and talents that makes them like a really great person.
They're just really weird, though. Most of
that
them.
That is true. Yes, they're a little out there, a little eccentric, I suppose. As far as the story goes, it is, like I said, it's a romantic comedy, so it's got a bit of some lighthearted, sweet moments, stuff that makes you laugh, as well as the emotional stuff as you watch like romance and love bloom and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it took me by surprise because I thought it was going to be more of a happy anime rather than like very depressing and quite emotional at times. But as you grow with each character, which is, in my opinion, is the real shine of this anime, is that you grow with each individual character, including the side character, especially like Misaki, who is a big-breasted sexual tyrant, and she wants to be an animator. And then we have the otaku, who is also part of the hall, along with Misaki. These are side characters, by the way, and he is a otaku, and he is a programmer. And then we have Jin, who is quote-unquote Misaki's like lover / crush, and he wants to be a script writer. But those are just side characters, but I believe that the side characters are the main golden part of this anime.
Yeah, like, I mean, they're side characters, like, for sure, but they're still involved enough, and, their stories are developed enough that you care about them just as much, and maybe for some people, if like, more than the stories of the main characters. Sorata, who is, like, he's the main guy, MC, whatever you want to call him.
I want to say he's basic. I want to say he's almost basic. He's like the average main character. Has his own little quirks that every anime throws with each new main character. He has his own quirks. I guess the reason why he got put in Sakura Hall was because he started collecting cats, right, off the streets.
Yes. He collected one or two cats, and he wanted to find a home for them. Wanted to keep them until then,
And these dorms allowed pets.
Yeah, that was the only one where he could actually keep a pet in. So,
and that's why he got put there.
Yeah,
and he wants to be a video game creator.
Yeah, his dream is to start developing a video game, and he works on that. So, I mean, I don't necessarily completely disagree in that he's a little bit plain, but I think that like watching his story and his struggles of wanting to develop a game kind of separates him a little bit. Like,
yeah,
you actually see that he's not just a main character that's kind of along for the ride, playing the perspective role around all these other more interesting characters. He actually works hard.
He does have some common tropes, though, and that brings me to the next main character. In my opinion, there's 3 main characters. The next one I'm going to talk about is Nanami, who is, I want to say, quote-unquote, his best friend, who was with him in the other dorms, who didn't really want him to go to the Sakura Hall dorm, and she's a female, and it's easy to say that she's undoubtedly in love with Sorata. But he's kind of blind to that. He doesn't really see it much until towards the end, but that's a different story. And then we have Mashiro, who is the main heroine of this, and this is where the real romance starts. It's between Mishiro and Sorata. She's like a world-renowned artist.
Yeah, she's world-renowned artist, but like the thing she really wants to do and spends a lot of her free time on is actually like drawing manga. That's her thing. That's her dream. But she's also kind of a clueless, helpless girl as well.
I want to call her a cat because that's what she's pictured as. Since Sorata is he collects cats. That's kind of the joke of this, is that she acts like a cat. She's an exchange student from Britain, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, from Europe or whatever. And she doesn't really know how to act like a normal human being. She can't feed herself. She cannot dress herself. So this is also a comedy. So Sorata is constantly like dressing her, feeding her, taking care of her, helping bathe her. You know, it's like all these common quirky jokes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and beyond them, you've got some other, like, you know, side characters as well. Like, in this dorm, they also have their teacher who's kind of, you know...
She's a total drunk.
Yeah, she's a bit of a drunk and a bit of, like, you know, a bit out there. I guess maybe a little bit sleazy, but, you know, whatever. And then other classmates of theirs and whatnot, but those are all primarily the ones we mainly see as, you know, throughout the story.
I personally believe that the story, rather than the story, but the characters are the real strength of it, especially the side characters. I cannot stress enough that this anime, I've never seen like such good side characters, because each side character has their own relationship with one another, and you watch the relationship grow, especially with Misaki and Jin, and you watch these guys end up, you know, with their relationship and how they deal with their love for each other, and it's very good. And as each person has their own ambitions and their own goals that they tend to sometimes fail on, it's realistic. You can't win at everything. You're not perfect. And many of these people, many of these side characters, or some of these side characters fail more than others, and they had to deal with living with someone who is much better than them, and jealousy sometimes gets the best of them, and it's very interesting to watch.
Yeah, that's like when it comes to the story and the characters, that's definitely one of the biggest strengths for me, is how in depth it goes into each person's desires and how well it handles and shows their relief and their joy when they succeed, but also their heartbreak and struggle when they fail as well.
I will be a little biased on this. It's one of my favorite animes, but it's also one of the few animes that has made me cry.
I think I might have gotten a little teary at one point, but yeah, that's another thing, is that it's very like it can get very emotional at times without feeling really like manipulative about it. There are certain anime that get like super emotional, like melodrama type stuff, that sort of feel like they're really trying to get you to do that. Where this one, it sort of feels like it comes natural.
And it's done really well too. Like a lot of these failures put like an emotional toll on yourself as the viewer watching it, because you get really emotionally attached to these characters, or at least I did. And it's hard to watch some of your favorite characters like fail pathetically at something, and it's very hard to, in my opinion, to watch them like not kill themselves, but die inside. You know, you die with them.
Mm-hmm. The only real like negatives or faults I have with the story is that there are a couple times where it felt a little bit predictable to me. Nothing like way like out there, like I could, you know, see the course of an entire episode ahead of time. But kind of the main thing was that I was not super satisfied with how it ended.
I was not either. It had the basic, I almost say it had like some of the basic ending, you know. At the end you get that kiss or whatever, and it's all happy. And it's kind of ends like a lot of other romances, and that, I guess that is a flaw in this anime. But it is side characters again. The side characters have their own story that it also follows, and you can consider some of these side characters to be main characters in this anime, not only side characters. It did have some flaws, I had to admit that, especially with some of the characters had their common tropes that you can basically, like Misty said, read the future on in the next episode.
When it comes to the characters, it also does, I'm not going to go too deep into a spoiler route or anything, but there are a couple characters that are introduced around the end that, like, could have been done a bit more gracefully.
Yes, they kind of just drop it on you. It's like, here's another character, deal with it.
Mm-hmm. So they kind of play them up as being really important at the very end, but just don't really give you any reason to care for them nearly as much as everyone else, because they do a really good job for pretty much every other character.
It kind of makes you want a season 2 so you can go in more into the backstory. And the light novel does continue on from the anime where it left off. Quite a bit, actually, in my opinion. But the anime left off, in my opinion, at a decent spot.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the light novel does go into more. It's certainly not like a read the manga, read the light novel type ending. Like, it has an ending. It's wrapped up well enough.
One of my things that I have to say also is the animation and the music in this anime. The animation is, I say it's above average. JC Staff did it, and JC Staff usually does really good animation, and they did Toradora and Onatsu de Maru. They did some Shakugan no Shana, Zero no Tsukaima. They did a lot. They've done so much anime, and most of their animation is pretty good. And I have to say, this anime is not godlike. It's not amazing, but it's above average. It does have some pretty nice looking spots where you just want to pause it and take a screenshot, and set it as your wallpaper.
Yep. There were a couple moments that I was tempted to do that. I'm not even gonna lie. That's one of the very few anime that did make me want to, like, screen cap and wallpaper like some sort of shot.
I did rewind at a couple spots that were like just plain gorgeous, so I could just watch it again. And the animation, it was good. Mm-hmm. It was 24 episodes, and one thing I had to say is that it has 3 openings and 3 endings, which I really enjoy seeing in anime, where they switch their openings and endings, like, decently. And I say each opening is very... As you watch the anime, each opening becomes more and more emotional. It sounds even more beautiful than the previous episode when it was playing. It plays out with the story, and the rhythm and the sound goes perfectly, I want to say. Especially with the ending.
Yeah, the openings and endings didn't, like, impress me quite as much, but, like, they were nice, and the actual soundtrack of the anime itself, like, definitely did its job and set the tone throughout the whole story very well. But the voice acting was really good in this. It's part of what helped make, these characters very enjoyable, is that, like, the voice actors did a good job at capturing their emotions and, being expressive and really knowing their character and having a very good grasp on it.
And it's sometimes hard to find a anime that does that well, and this anime did do it well. Mm-hmm. And it was very fun to watch.
I say the overall package of this, while certainly not my favorite, is very good. I think it's almost an essential watch for anyone who is a big, like, romance buff, like, or is really into rom-coms. It's a very good entry and brings a lot of, even if you don't love it to death, it brings a lot of really very nice things to the table.
This anime, to counter that, I am very biased on this because it is one of my favorite romance anime. It's actually in my top 10 favorite romance anime ever. It's like on my top 10s list in every genre. It's just one of my favorites, and it's one of the few anime that has made me cry. I cannot stress that enough. This anime is very enjoyable. It's very happy, but it can have a very emotional effect on you as you grow with each individual character. I highly recommend it if you like romance. It has its flaws here and there, but the characters make up for it, and the story does too.
Alright, well, I think that about wraps it up there. So, thanks for listening, guys. This has been a review of Sakurasou no Pet Nakanojo, Pet Girl of Sakurasou. I have been Misty.
I've been Hunter. We'll see you in the next one.